Question number 6. Consider the following statements. Statement 1. The first Indian Factory Act was passed in 1881 to regulate child labor and impose safety standards in Indian factories. Is that correct? Is that correct? Sandra Thomas, is it correct? Yes. The first Indian Factory Act was passed in 1881 to regulate child labor. I mean, accordingly, yes, the children below 7 should not be, employed in the factories and all. Am I right? And working hours also reduced from 19 to 17 hours, something like that. Now it is something to, regulate the child labor and, it is to impose safety precautions in Indian factories. That statement is absolutely fine. Second statement, Act aimed to reduce the competitiveness of Indian manufacturing units due to a surplus in the labor market. The Act aimed to reduce this competitiveness of Indian manufacturing units due to a surplus in the labor market. You must understand that the first factory reforms, it is, largely because of the pressure from these Manchester and Lancashire textile lobbies. Am I right? Yes, Manchester European textile lobbies, they pressurized Indian government to introduce these factory reforms so that Indian manufacturers will suffer. Indian manufacturers will suffer. So you see that Indian manufacturers will not be, I mean, if they are providing lots of these, incentives, facilities, if factory reforms in favor of employees means, it will cut short the surplus of these, Indian manufacturers. Okay. So in the competition industry, they will be out. Okay. So these European manufacturers or these manufacturing lobbies pressurized Indian government to introduce reforms in the Indian factories owned by Indians only. Am I right? Not in the Europeans, you see. So that, it will be favorable for these European manufacturers. Okay. And again, they said that due to the surplus in the labor market, of course, there is surplus in the labor market. Due to the cheap labor, there is surplus in the labor market. So you see that it is to put a further pressure upon Indian manufacturers. Okay, Indian manufacturers. These factory reforms largely, yes, it is a force or it is a pressure came from these, European lobbies or European these manufacture or textile lobbies, and because of which you see that yes, these factory reforms introduced by this British government. And what is said here? Act aimed to reduce competitiveness of Indian manufacturing units due to a surplus in this labor market. Okay, due to the surplus in the labor market, due to the cheap labor availability, you see that in order to reduce that, so that what will happen, they will not be able to compete with these European manufacturers. Okay, so it is a money came from the side of these European lobbies here. Okay, so that sense the second statement is accurately, it perfectly fits the explanation. Third one is, apart from Indian owned industrial units, the Factory Act 1891 applied to British owned tea and coffee plantations as well. Most stupid statement, I would say. Why? Aditi, why? Why you think that the third statement is wrong? Megha, why the third statement is wrong? Apart from Indian owned industrial units, Factory Act 1891 applied to British owned tea and coffee plantations as well. Eh? Yes, it is contradictory in nature, and also this I said that this basic intention of factory reforms, this is to this is to what? Yes, it is to reduce the surplus of Indian manufacturers, and also it is to make them out of this competition in the market. Am I right? So it is not against the European manufacturers. It is not against this British on the tea and coffee plantations as well. Just basic logic is this one. See, whatever the East India Company's policies or British policies, it is to promote this British trade and commerce here. All the trade policies or the railway policies, freight charges, or maybe whatever the export import policies, that was always in favor of this British mercantilism, British imperialism, or British trade monopoly. Am I right? So these factory reforms, if it is because of pressure from European manufacturers, then it is not against these British owned industries, it is only against Indian owned industries. You got the point? Yes. So I will go for C. Only one of the statement 2 and 3 is correct, and that explains statement 1. Moving on to question number 7. So here again I'm telling you various factory reforms during this colonial era. It's important for you. Just have a look into this. What are the various factory reforms? What are the provisions of the factory reforms? What are the causes and consequences of the factory reforms? Please cover. Now consider following machine-based industries. See, in the 19th century, yes, there is large-scale industries set up in India in the second half of the 19th century. They are asking which of the above were the large-scale industries set up in India in the latter half of this 19th century. Can you make an educated guess? Any guess? See, this colonial government or this British colonial government, wherever they had colonies, a simple logic. You come across this American Revolution, African revolutions, or Asian revolutions, European revolutions, anywhere, you can see that. Do you think that they actively promoted, supported these steel, iron industries in the initial stage? Never. You can't see anywhere. It is, and also it is, a heavy multi-crore invested, industries. You see that there is no active support of starting those, because all those, equipments are supplied from Britain to India. Am I right? Imported from Britain to India. So here the question is that what are the large scale industries set up in India in the latter half of 19th century? Obviously, we have a rich tradition of cotton textiles. So obviously that could be promoted, that could be established. Coal mining, rich tradition of coal mining. We have jute mills, So all this being there, but the steel and iron industry, that is, a story of the 20th century only. That is as early as 1913. Sorry? Yeah, yes. All these are industries started here. Coal mining is there, jute mills are there, cotton textile industry. Cotton textile industry is as early as 1853. 1853, okay. So you see that 2, 3, 4 are fine, but the steel and iron industry, okay, you look into any part of the colonies, that was later stage, development only. Am I right? Any part of the world, any colonies you see, yes, that happened in the 20th or maybe later centuries only. Am I right? Yeah, call, it's already there, because initially you see that what all this railway system, what all things, powered by this thing only. Now moving on to, so your answer is Rajiv. We will go for Delhi 2, 3, and 4. Now question number 8. To consider the following pairs. Name of legislation: Viceroy. Government of India Act 1858, Lord Canning. This during viceroyship of this Canning, this 1858 Act was passed. Right only. Indian Council Act 1861, Lord Mayo. Why Mayo is so significant here? Lord Mayo is significant. He is the father of financial decentralization. Father of financial decentralization. Financial decentralization. Okay. Financial decentralization. So that is something, that is in 1870s. But Indian Council Act was, here it is 1861. That was during viceroyship of Lord Canning. Lord Canning. And the portfolio system which is proposed by Canning was introduced in 1861 Council Act. Am I right? Portfolio system? Yes. Vernacular Press Act 1878. What is Vernacular Press Act? What is that? Restrictions imposed on this, vernacular language, newspapers, etc. So let's see that these are destructive policies. Arms Act, Vernacular Press Act, all these, these are some destructive policies. Lytton is known for destructive policies. Ripon is known for constructive policies. Ripon is in favor of India. Lytton is totally against the interest of Indians. Okay. So this Vernacular Press Act, it is repealed by Ripon, but it was, passed by Lytton. It was passed by Lytton. So I will go for only one. A. Question number 9. With reference to the conditions of the agricultural economy under British rule, consider the following statements. Agricultural economy. Fine, good. It's a very easy question here. Just look into this. The rural economy was shattered due to this intense commercialization of agriculture. Is it true? Exactly. What is commercialization of agriculture? What is commercialization? Yeah, there is forced cultivation of cash crops instead of food crops. Am I right? Yeah, of course, there is commercialization of agriculture due to which rural economy shattered. Now, second statement, active capital investment in industries by the Indian moneyed classes resulted in a decline of capital investment in agriculture. Active capital investment in industries by Indian moneyed classes resulted in a decline of this capital investment in agriculture. I would say that there is the foolishness, you see that under colonialism, you must understand that Indian capitalists are having no chances of investment here. Even railway they introduced Navya. Indian capitalists got no opportunity for investment. That was the biggest problem. There is no capitalization. There is no growth of this Indian capitalist during this British colonialism. That is also one of the biggest criticism on this colonial government. Indian capitalists got no opportunity for investment, neither in agriculture nor in industries. Am I right? Because all this investment came from, come on, say, all investment came from Britain. It is plantation industries, or it is industries, or it is, yeah, it is commercial industries, or it is what is called this railways, whatever. Investment came from Britain. It is foreign capital investment. Indians got no opportunity of investment. So the second statement is wrong. Just knowing these particular basic concept, you can eliminate the, sentence. Promotion of agricultural education by British helped to modernize this farming in India. Promotion of agricultural education by British helped to modernize farming in India. Yeah, if this modernization in agriculture happened, then there will not be any kind of independence revolts. Am I right? We will be so happy with this British. We will hug and kiss the Britishers. Am I right? If they modernized, they introduced agricultural education, modernized agriculture, because agriculture is the mainstay of Indian economy. If agriculture thrived, if our economy thrived, then there will be no chances of this freedom struggle. We will be much happy with the dominion status. Am I right? So you must understand that agriculture, there is no modernization in agriculture. There is no deliberate plan of promoting this agricultural education, because of which you must understand that the agriculture industry or agriculture collapsed like anything. There is large scale rural indebtedness. There is famine, poverty. You studied different case studies of Bengal famines now. On different decades, different occasions, Bengal famine happened. Most richest, agricultural province become the poorest famine province of India. So that is again, one of the idiotic statement. I eliminated both. So my answer is A only. So one only. Okay. So with reference to Lord Mayo's, question number 10, with reference to Lord Mayo's resolution, consider the following statements. It provided the provincial governments with the fixed sums for the administration of certain services. Provinces could spend the amount on services like police, jails, education, medical services, and roads. The provinces had the liberty to internally adjust allocations under each of these heads. Do you have any guess? Any guess from your side? It is Lord Mayo's resolution, or it is his resolution on this financial decentralization? Come on, say. He has provided provincial governments with fixed sums for the administration of certain services. Is it true? There is nothing. നമുക്ക് ഡൗട്ട് ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒന്നും തന്നെ അതിലില്ല. It is perfectly a fine statement. I go to second statement. The provinces could spend the amount on services like police, jails, education, medical services, roads, for which only the fund is allocated. Now, yeah, they can use it. Now, the third statement, the provinces had the liberty to internally adjust allocations under each of these heads. It is also their choice. That is financial decentralization. No, you simply understand what is the term financial decentralization. Okay, the local bodies are given that the freedom of choosing these budget allocations or managing these finances for each departments. They can adjust accordingly. A particular amount will be allotted, and they can manage it for different services and subjects and departments according to their requirements. That is something financial decentralization. So if you know the concept financial decentralization, obviously all the three statements are answerable, and all these three statements, they perfectly explains the definition of this financial decentralization. That is fine. That is fine. Okay, so all the three are correct.
Gallant IAS, chasing your passion to ace.